Hello, Mario. Engineering Surveying, DE 5205, Session 3, Survey Computations and Resections. Hello, and welcome to this video where we're going to look at computations, more computations, and some resections, whatever they are. Okay, so let's just, we've gone straight to session 3 actually. So what I've sent out a bit of an email asking you that before you come to class you review the session resources and review the fieldwork from last session. So the fieldwork from last session is all in place now. There's some HSC documents, some field notes from the digital levelling, and a little bit of field note from the GNSS data. Probably the only stuff you really need to work with is the digital levelling one, and that we need to talk about that and get that all set out and confirm the actual levels for the marks, because they're the levels that we'll be using for this project. So we can probably get them tabulated in a table somewhere, and yeah, just get that recorded and locked away somewhere where we can find it. So back to session 3, and you also need to prepare questions, so any questions that you've got on the resources. So the session plan is here, and the session notes here. So we'll go through the session notes, which of course in the form of a very familiar PowerPoint, which we will load up, and here it comes, a slideshow, and from the beginning there's our title. That's me, Mario, with the Mario spelt with the lowercase m. Very particular about that. So this is the plan for the thing. We've got our theory classroom session first, so we'll do this intro and then look at that there. Also possibly get the data recorder possibly ready for the field work. So that'll be something that we're a bit of a work on. I'll see how that goes and explain that in a bit more detail later. Then obviously we're out in the field. We'll get our health and safety docs signed, and going to do a little bit of a look at external control with the GPS today, and just visit a few marks outside of the site in the existing network, which we'll use to set up our control within the site. So that's what we'll do. Generally, the process of surveying is to do your research, establish your sort of control, establish your any new marks, those established, and then do the detail. It might be topo, or it might be some cadastral boundary work and what have you. So yeah, moving on from there. So successful completion of this session, you should have further knowledge of coordinates and of resections. That's in the way of the theory. So we'll perhaps talk a little bit about resections in due course. Further understanding of the 12D Travis spreadsheet, further knowledge of GNSS, a bit more of that, and further familiarity with the Zealandia Park site. So we're slowly building up more and more knowledge about Zealandia Park. Every time we go out there, we find out a little bit more, we get to know the site a little bit better, get a bit of dirt on our hands, a bit of dirt on our shoes, under our fingernails, that sort of thing. And this is the way that you build familiarity with your site, and then when you come to work or develop on it, of course, it pays off later on. So time spent on site is should be tried to maximize as much time as you can on site, because it makes the overall job easier. Less time on site, the more time you're sort of faffing around in the office trying to make decisions based on stuff that you don't really know much about. Okay, so just in terms of your diary, is your diary up to date? Are you keeping it up to date? This is quite important, because you'll be writing a record about, you're sort of writing a report about the whole project. So being able to recall some of these things is pretty good. I think I've done a little video vlog, I think, of the, I'll just check, I had intended to, of the field work from last week. I'm pretty sure I got that done. So that'll be in there as well, just my thoughts on how things went and what we did. So, yep, I hope, and I'm intending to do that this week as well. Are your worksheets up to date? Important that you keep these. They come every week, and it's only a couple each week, but you miss one, then you miss two, and you start falling behind. So it's important that you keep these up to date. If you are falling behind, maybe time to have a bit of a catch up. Perhaps put some time and effort into just keeping yourself up to date on these ones. It always, pays off. And the information or the stuff that you're learning is sort of I'm trying to relate it to the project and stuff that you're going to need to know in the future. So, time and now will pay off later on big time. So that's really important. Now the Zealandia project itself. Yes, we need to have a bit of a look at last week's field work, and as I said, get those levels confirmed and locked away. We're going to set up the GPS and measure to some external control. I have done this in previous years, but there's a couple of more marks that I'd like to try and get in certain areas just to make it a little bit better. And I also want to possibly next week put some new marks in, and so I just want to confirm where we're going to put those. I think I've got it pretty much sorted out that we'll place 4 new marks in the 4 corners of the job, so that this will enable us in 2019 to have a bit more flexibility with the traversing, and maybe operate 2 groups out of each corner, that sort of don't interfere with other groups. So that's what I'm hoping. So we'll have a look at that and just confirm that there as well. And so before next week, the key tasks are to review the session 4 resources, and this project brief tends to drag on, so we need to actually get some sort of draft out so that we can have a look. Perhaps if a couple of people get a draft together and we have a look at that, and then we move everyone forward on that. So each person needs to have a bit of a project brief, which is going to say what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. So so that brings us to there. So let's look at Moodle. So here we are, out of there. That's finished with those there. I'll just close that down, and here's our Moodle. So just in regards to the fieldwork, what I've done is I've gone on to Land Online, and I've downloaded all of the data in the vicinity of Zealandia Park. Now this includes all of the survey marks and all of the boundary details and things. Now these boundary details are the actual true boundaries, and they're different. Obviously I've created a boundary around the posts, as you know, so that's not a true boundary, that's a fictitious boundary, or the boundary of our site. So but this is that information. Now it is possible to load this information into 12D, and then create a plan, and also to load that plan into the data recorder by way of the map there. So what I'm hoping to do in the theory session is to download this data and try and get it into 12D and into the data recorder. Hopefully, if we're not successful with that, it won't affect us too much. We'll come up with something, but if it does get in there, well, it'll just show you how it all works. And if we don't get it in there this week, well, we'll have to work a bit harder on it and get it next week. So this is quite often how we have to work in surveying. Sometimes we know we can do things, but sometimes they don't happen exactly according to plan. So I've downloaded this stuff the evening before class, and hopefully we'll be able to get it into 12D in the morning. So that's going to be a bit of fun and a bit of real life survey adventure. So I've got some resources down here, and we're talking about resections. So what is a resection? Well, essentially, I think it'll hopefully show in these notes, but a resection is sometimes referred to as the 3-point problem. So in olden times, when Mario was a young lad, obviously EDM and the ability to measure to things wasn't available. It wasn't an option. So what we did have, and you will have seen them on the hilltops, and that was trig stations or beacons. And so if we were to take 3 of those beacons and set up anywhere and just measure the angles, remembering that we couldn't measure the distances, just measuring the angles, 3 angles, from that information, we were able to work out our position and our bearings. Approximately, not as accurately as we can these days with measurement. And so if we had 4 trigs, that would give us 2 lots of 3, or a number of different combinations of 3. So the calculation is the 3-point problem. So we could work out the position based on 1, 2, 3, and then 2, 3, 4. And if we had 5 trigs, obviously you would have more combinations of 3. So we could work out all of the different combinations and then take the mean of the answer, and that would give us a coordinate, but more particularly bearings to these trig stations. So this was quite a predominant sort of, well, relatively used to use it every now and again, and it was called resection. Now these days with a total station, and in fact to some extent with a GPS, we're able to measure distances. So we sort of do the resection, but we've got more information with regards to distances. So it's not just based on angles, but angles and distances. We're able to do the same thing, like as we saw last week, where we set up the GPS and then did a site calibration. So we set it up at a random point. So we can set up our instrument at a random point, and then we can measure and the bearing and or angles and distances to known points to determine our position. Now with a total station, this tends to be called a free station type of situation, which we will hopefully be doing later in the year. But initially it was the resection, and this was quite a big thing, quite a complex calculation when you consider that it wasn't done with calculators or computers. However, now that we've got computers to do it, there are many options for doing it, but we're still just going to have a wee sort of look at the mathematics behind it and what's involved, so that you can appreciate just what your instrument's doing and what's involved in in the free station and a resection. So yeah, it's just set up anywhere, measure the angles, you can calculate your position. So and this is referred to as a resection. Now I've done quite a number of videos there on this for you to view, and I've given you down here some worksheets there, and what I've asked you to do is to create an Excel spreadsheet to solve the resection in 7. Email the spreadsheet and solve the resection in worksheet 7 using an online resection calculator. So that's resection there. So what you have to do is solve the resection using an Excel spreadsheet. So here's the detail of the resection. So calculation to be done. So this is, you can do it with a calculator here, but I'm asking that you do it with an Excel spreadsheet, and then maybe send me the spreadsheet, and then also do it using an online resection calculator, and email a screenshot of the solved resection there. And also you can do it with 12D as well. So that's another option there. Now this one here, this is an intersection problem, which is slightly different again. And so remember that this one here, you can do that with a 12D as well. So remember, the weekly tasks are to be done with 12D. So the idea there would be that you do the intersection using 12D, and obviously indicate how you did it and what your answer is, and that you would do the resection there with 12D as well, and then but then also using an Excel spreadsheet and online. So there's quite a whole little things around there involving that. Okay, calculator resection with 12D, online resection calculator there. So I've given you some resources there that sort of talks about all that. So I might need to put some more detail in around the weekly tasks there, which I'll do. Okay, so I think that's a pretty good idea of what's going to happen. We're going to look and see if we can load this into this XML into land on into 12D. In time, I will probably, once we get that sorted, I will set up a video showing you how to do that, and perhaps add that into here so that you don't miss out on that. And that just leads us to session 4. So before you come to class, session 4 is on area and working out area. Obviously I've got some work to do there, just have a bit of a review, see what's involved, maybe check out a couple of the videos, see if you've got any questions, any problems that might come up, and bring that with you to class. So let's just go back to session 3, and I think everything's all good there. I'll just add a little note there in due course, and that's it. Cheers, see you.